Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. I am Make It Up Supergirl. Today I'm super excited to be sharing the Ghost Face makeup collection from Glamlight Cosmetics, and I'll be showing you how I came up with this makeup look. So if this interests you, please keep watching and don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to tickle that cute little bell down below to be notified of all my new content. Alright, let's get started. And this is what the box looks like. I think this is super cool. So let's go ahead and check out each and every item. So one of the first things I want to share with you is called the Black Cherry Lip Duo. And what this is a lip scrub and a lip mask. And I can't wait to show it to you. And that is what it looks like. The next item I want to show you is a lip kit, and this will come with a lip liner and a lip gloss. And wait till you see how cool the packaging is. And that's what it looks like. And that's the lip pencil, and that's the liquid lip gloss. Isn't that pretty? The next item is also a lip kit, but this one's a lipstick and a lip liner. So let me show you what it looks like. And that is what it looks like. The next item is really cool. It's actually a mirror, and I think it's really, really cool. And that is what it looks like. The next item I want to show you is a liquid eyeliner, and let me show you what it looks like. And that is what it looks like. The next item is a blush, and it's just a really beautiful color. But let me show you what the outside looks like. And that is what it looks like on the outside. And that's the beautiful color right there. Gorgeous. The next item is a highlighter, and I really, really love the Glamlight Cosmetics highlighters. They're just really amazing. And these are the pretty highlighters. I just love them so much. And the last item I want to show you is the eyeshadow palette. Wait till I show you the front of this palette. It's so super cool. And that is what it looks like. I think that's super cool. And that's what the colors look like. Aren't those beautiful? Well, that was everything that was in the Glamlight Cosmetics Ghost Face Makeup Collection. And if you're interested in seeing how I came up with this makeup look, I'll be right back. Now that I have the camera up and close, I'm going to go ahead and start my makeup look. And I'm going to start with the light brown shade, and I'm going to put that all over my eyelid. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and tap the color in and tap that all over, just to build a base. And I really love Glamlight's formula. I've always loved it. It's very pigmented and very easy to use. Just pat that on. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and do the other eyelid. Alright, I really like how the base shade looks, and now I'm going to go ahead and use the dark brown shade. Now I'm going to put that right here in my upper crease. Alright, I'm just going to dip a little bit of my brush, and then I'm going to gently place that in my upper crease. And I've said this in many of my videos, whenever you're working with the shadows, and especially a newer palette, you always want to remember, put a little bit on your brush first, and then you can always add more and build up. But if you put too much, then you might have to start all over again, or you'll be blending for a very, very long time. And I always do my upper crease and not my normal natural crease, because I have hooded eyes, and if I were to put anything in there, when I open my eyes, you won't see it. So you just have to work with your eye shape and come up with the creative ways to put your eyeshadow on. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm in the camera so you guys can see. But as you can see, this formula is really easy to blend. And I feel like I'm almost done. I'm just going to put a little bit more on my brush and define that upper crease just a little bit. And I go from the outer edge and I go right about where my eyebrow ends. So I'm gonna just kind of pat it in there and then I gently blend it. And I think that looks pretty good. I kind of want to darken up just this one little part right there. I'm gonna put a little bit more on my brush and put that in there, but yeah, I really like this a lot. I think this collection is so cool. All right, that looks good. So I think I got it the way I want it. Now I'm gonna start with the other eye. Put a little bit on my brush. And then I'm gonna start here in the outer corner, which is looking pretty good. And then I'm gonna blend in. I'm having a hard time deciding what I'm gonna use as a shimmer shade because there's so many pretty shades in here. But this really blends really nicely. It's really effortless to use. So I've never been disappointed with Glamlite's formula before. And that is pretty good. I might add just a touch and get right here underneath that eyebrow. And blend it in gently. And I am barely putting my brush in the eyeshadow pan, just to let you know that's how pigment this is. Alright, I think that second shade turned out really nicely. So the third shade I'm going to use is the darkest shade in the eyeshadow palette. And I'm going to start with the outer corner and then I'm just going to go in maybe about a quarter of the way, but we'll see how it turns out. But alright, I do want to tell you, when you do use this shade, be very careful because there was a little bit of fallout. So I put some on my brush and then I lightly tapped the brush so that I can take off the excess so that it wouldn't go everywhere on my eyelid. So I'm just going to try to be very sparingly with this shadow here. But as you can see, it's already darkening the corner of my eye, and all I'm doing is gently patting in the shadow, and then I'm kind of like pushing the shadow on that outer corner. I do have a lot of texture on my eyelids. They're not perfectly smooth. I do have wrinkles, so I'm just really trying to get that eyeshadow in there. And then once I get some on the outer corner after I've patted in, then I'm going to gently move that shadow and blend it in towards my eyelid. And all I'm doing is I'm just trying to create a little bit more definition and kind of accentuate my eyes. And I really like this method for myself. I'm just going to keep putting on a little bit more at a time, which is going to take me a little bit longer, but it's better to, you know, take your time. But I'm going to go ahead and keep on building that. And I'm blending in that shadow to about right here underneath that brow bone. And you can kind of feel it right there. And I'm just going to keep on building that shadow. I typically do my makeup very similar all the time. I like to start with the base shade and then use a medium tone shade, which I think they call transition shade, and they'll put it in their crease, and then they'll use something to darken their outer corner, and then they use some type of shimmer. You just kind of have to find what works for you and make it your own, because everybody's eye shape is different. But I think I'm getting to the point where I'm ready to move on to the other side. All right, I think that looks pretty good for this eye, so I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing to the other eye. And again, I'm gonna blend in till I get to about right there where that brown bone is. All right, I'm gonna use a little bit of a flatter brush and try to get in some of these nooks and crannies of my eyelids. I wish my eyelids were nice and smooth, but they're not, so I have to work harder to get the color on my eyelid. All right, now I'm gonna go back to my fluffy brush and blend that in. All right, I think the dark shade did a great job darkening the outer corner of my eyelids. And now I'm gonna go ahead and use the purple shimmer shade, and I'm gonna put that from about my inner corner to about halfway on my eyelid. And I'm just going to blend that, and this is smooth as butter. Just gonna kind of pat where that outer corner ended on my eyelid and just kind of blend that right on top. That is really, really pretty. Be very careful because this shadow is very soft and buttery, so you don't want to break it, but that is a pretty shade. That is so pretty. I really like that a lot. All right, I think I'm already done with that eyelid, so I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side. And as you can see, it just goes on beautifully. Now the reason why I like to use my finger is because I have more control of where the shadow is going and help blend into my eyelid. All right, I really like how that turned out, and I'm actually going to take a smaller brush and I'm gonna dip my brush in one of the silvery toned shimmers, and I just want to put that right there in my inner corner. I just kind of want to brighten it up like so. And this one is also very, very buttery and soft, so be very careful when you're dipping your brush in this. You don't want to damage the shadow. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm actually gonna use that same silvery shimmer, and I'm gonna put it right underneath my brow bone just to highlight that. So I'm gently tapping my brush, and then I'm gonna gently put that shade under my eyelid. Just to highlight it a little bit. All right, I really like how that turned out. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and put my foundation on and do a little touch-ups, and then I'm gonna come back and use the blush and the highlighter that came in this collection. So I'll be right back. Now I'm gonna go ahead and use the blush from this collection, and I am going to dip my brush very carefully and lightly tap that color on. I don't want to do too much because this looks very pigmented, and I think the last time I used one of their blushes it was really, really pigmented. So go in with a very light hand, and when you think you're going in the pan very lightly, go even lighter. So you're gonna barely touch that. Just gonna put a little bit of color. Now that I'm done with the blush, I'm gonna go ahead and use the highlighter next. So I'm just gonna put a little bit on my nose, a little bit here, a little bit there. Now that I'm done with the highlighter, I'm gonna go ahead and use the lip liner and the liquid lip gloss. So let's go ahead and get started. It goes on very, very smooth. That looks really, really good. So now I'm gonna go ahead and use this liquid lipstick, and I'm gonna go ahead and put it on. That is really pretty. I really think that's really beautiful. And now I'm going to go ahead and do some final touches on my makeup, and I'll be right back. Well, this is my final look. I absolutely love how it came together. And if you're interested in learning more about the Glamlite Cosmetics, I'll leave a link down in the description. And thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video. I really appreciate it. And please remember to love yourself, love others, know that you're loved, and that we're all beautiful. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.